Hi guys, Chef Kevin Belton here. And getting ready for summer. We're doing more summer dishes. I don't know. I think of summertime, I think of fried chicken. Well, okay, you got me. I think of fried chicken all the time. But this time, we're going to do a sweet tea brine chicken. That's right, sweet tea. Basically, I took 6 cups of water, put it in a pot, got it boiling. I took 8 of the large tea bags, okay? I tied them together, put them down in that boiling water. Once it started boiling, turn the water off, put the lid on it, and I let it steep for 20 minutes. Once it steeped for the 20 minutes, took out the tea bag, squeezed them out best I could, went with a cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of salt, stirred it enough to dissolve it, okay? Now, here's the thing about brines. You have to let them sit to cool. So once it's steeped for 20 minutes, I dissolve that sugar and salt, then I let it cool to room temperature. Because once I got it room temperature, then I was able to put my chicken in a bag and put it in the refrigerator. So this is our brine. And the whole reason you brine is because it keeps things nice and moist. And here, that tea is going to give flavor. So this is in the refrigerator, okay? And you could do it anywhere from 8 hours to 24 hours. Overnight is really, really best. So I have legs and thighs here, okay? Now, what I have here in my flour, I am going to add a cup of cornmeal and a couple tablespoons of cornstarch, okay? The other thing I have, some seasoning. I have salt, black pepper, white pepper, our Creole seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika. So let's get our seasoning in there. And we're just gonna get this all stirred in and mixed together. And if you're wondering why the cornmeal gives it a little different texture, okay? The cornstarch, also when things fry, helps things fry very, very crisp, very crisp. So here I have buttermilk, okay? That's all it is buttermilk. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our chicken, we're going to dip it in the buttermilk, roll it in the flour to get it coated, then we're gonna stack it all on our rack till we get all of our pieces done. So look, let's go in. Now, the other thing is, with this brine, I'm throwing it away afterwards because raw chicken has been in. So here, take the chicken, get it into the buttermilk, just give it a nice, take your tongs, give it a turn to make sure it gets coated. Oh, you know something else I just thought about, gang? Here, let's do this. Let's also put in our buttermilk, how about a little hot sauce for flavor? Okay, let's get a little hot sauce in our buttermilk. Now, of course, that's optional. And when I looked at it, I'm like, oh man, let's do some hot sauce. So we'll get a little hot sauce in there, get that mixed in. We'll pick it up, let it drain, then into the flour. And we just want to make sure it gets coated in the flour really well, okay? Shake off the excess. Let's just set it here on our rack. So now, let's go in with our next piece of chicken and do the exact same thing. So, I've gotten most of my chicken dipped and battered, okay? Now, I've been letting the oil heat up. To check the oil, take a little pinch of flour and come see. We want to see that little, maybe if I grab a little more, you could see it better. See that sizzle? That means the oil is hot enough. So now, we're gonna put our chicken in. Slowly just lay it down. Now, I'm gonna let these legs go for about 4 minutes per side. Then we'll flip them over And you notice I have another pan here, and I have the oven at 40 degrees. Basically, I'm gonna cook them about 4 minutes per side, put them on our rack. Then our thighs, I'm gonna do our thighs for about 5 minutes per side, put it on the rack, and we'll finish cooking them in the oven. That way we don't have to worry about them burning on top of the stove. They'll finish cooking in the oven. All right, guys, I'm just getting the last of the chicken out so we can finish cooking it in the oven. Now, if you've watched me before, you know a lot of times I do a dry, wet, dry batter, but this time I wanted to do a little change up. So I went from the brine into the buttermilk, then into the flour, where often I do dry, wet, then dry. This time I just did a wet to dry. That's why the batter looks a little bit different. I also, because we brined it in that tea, I didn't want too thick of a batter to where all we were tasting was batter and not the actual chicken itself. So, oven 40 degrees. We're gonna put these in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. Basically, if you have a candy thermometer, you want an internal temperature of 160, because once you take it out and they sit, they'll get to that 165. If you don't have a thermometer, take a knife, puncture the fat side. If the juices run clear, they're ready. If their juices run a little red, that means it needs a little longer cooking time. So let's get them in the oven. Guys, I have to tell you, from being in that hot oven, the outside gets so crispy. And I have been fighting myself. I want to taste it so bad, but I know it's too hot. I have to let it cool off a little more. But remember, it all started with tea. We brined with tea. We did the tea, sugar, and salt. And you know what? Invest in a thermometer. A thermometer is only a few bucks. But that way you can always tell when your meat is done. So I tell you what, I can't wait to light into this chicken, because I took a little smidge and it does have that little sweetness, and it is so tender. Just from touching it, it is so tender, and I know it's gonna be moist. Try this recipe. I think you're gonna like it. Stay safe. Thank you for hanging out and cooking with me today. For WWO, I'm Chef Kevin Belton, and we'll see you soon.